Oh, this is a good story. I don't know if we brought this up at the time back in June, but here's a video in Houston, Texas. Food Not Bombs is an organization in Houston that has been feeding the homeless, I think, for like 10 years.
Wow.
On the unhoused folks. Houston started to crack down on them because, of course, why wouldn't you? Check this out.
So I'll see you tomorrow. Probably you too, huh? See you guys in the morning. All right, thank you.
Okay. Can you explain to us what just happened?
I just got my 11th ticket for feeding the homeless, and this is number 30 for Food Not Bombs.
Cool. We're in front of the public library, which says that we don't have the right to, be here. And, we're conducting a food service event without the consent of the property owner, and it says, in parentheses, feed homeless. A specialty law that is being forced specifically just on us. It's wonderful. So we will continue to protest until there's change.
So that was a TikTok that was put up by Food Not Bombs back in June. And there has been, each of these folks who've been working for them have been cited. The whole organization, like it said, been cited at that time like 30 times. Washington Post reports. And I had seen this in, I think, one of the Texas papers, but I didn't have access to it, to be honest with you, a couple of days ago. Philip Cohn has been working with Food Not Bombs, feeding unhoused people for once a week, at least, for the past 12 years. Pacone was aware that city officials are trying to pressure people like Pacone to stop feeding unhoused people. I can't even, I don't know if it's because they don't like where it's being done, or it's just like they're just twisted, or they think that if there's no food, they treat them like they're
not
literally
they're
like
NIMBYs.
animals.
It's NIMBYs. I'm fine if they eat, but not here. It's like they're treating, they've dehumanized unhoused people to this point that they're treating them like pigeons and it's like someone throwing
they'll be around if you start feeding them. It's literally like why they say don't feed the pigeons.
Yeah.
So Pacone steeled himself. He cooked the pasta the following afternoon, drove downtown to serve it in front of the library around dinner time. After he was finished dishing out food, an officer cited him for violating a city ordinance that, in effect, prohibits people from serving more than a handful of unhoused people. On July 28th, nearly 5 months after Pacone got the ticket, a jury acquitted him. His is one of dozens of cases that the city of Houston is prosecuting against volunteers accused of violating a 2012 ordinance that bans people from providing charitable food services to more than 5 individuals without a property owner's approval. For Food Not Bombs, which has served the homeless people at the library for at least 15 years, that means getting approval from the very entity that's trying to force them to move, the city.
Well, that's a consequence of not having enough public spaces, but two, also just a note, when cops are doing this, there's a reason that people say that cops are there to protect property, not people.
Yeah.
This is an example.
City officials said they'd keep vigorously prosecuting the cases. At least 47 have been filed since March 1st. There's been an increase in complaints, according to them, in incidents regarding unhoused people congregating near the library.
But those incidents will go down if those people are hungrier.
Well, also, if it was that narrow of a concern, why isn't the city working at least with people who are doing that? Why isn't the city taking care of this problem? And B, why isn't the city working with these people who are volunteering to help and come up with some solution that works?
I mean, there has been some progress in Houston. I know it's been a little bit bumpier recently, but I've referenced this a lot. Their Coalition for the Homeless reduced unhoused people in the city by a drastic amount, but that was an Obama HUD pilot program, and that's how that was funded. This city governments, they often are answering to constituencies that don't want them to do anything to make lives of the unhoused easier.
They want them to, harass them out of the city into somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Well, good for these folks. And if you're in Houston, there is a petition. They have collected 33,000 signatures from people urging the city to rescind the ordinance. Apparently in 2012, the city council passed the ordinance, and the then mayor wrote in a news release she had carved out an exception for Food Not Bombs by approving Central Library Plaza as a charitable food service location. So for 11 years they were fine, and then I guess the new mayor decided,
No such thing as a free lunch.
Yeah, I like the idea that like Jesus literally could be reincarnated or come back the second time or whatever tomorrow, and he'd show up in Houston trying to feed the homeless, and he'd get ticketed.
Well, I mean, how would you make him pay?
He didn't have a permit. Yeah.
Yeah, he could probably just, if you could do water into wine, he just makes the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, don't convert water into wine for more than 5 people.
Exactly.